And there you have it, folks. There is Dmitry Bivol, where he officially vacates his WBC light heavyweight title. And let me counterpunch. The reasons for this is because Mauricio Sulaiman decided, for whatever reason, he wanted to jump the rotation of David Benavidez to be mandatory when it wasn't his turn. Okay, it was the IBF's turn for Dmitry Bivol to defend his belt, not the WBC. So what happens in this case, if you have someone that decides to jump in front of another sanctioning body, it's not the problem with the sanctioning body. It's the problem with the fighter, because now the fighter is stuck with, do I do the right thing or do I do something based on somebody else's mistake or force? And Dmitry Bivol did the right thing. He vacated the belt because Mauricio Sulaiman decided to jump with the David Benavidez mandatory. And the question you ask yourself is, why did he do that? Why? Because if you guys can remember when the war broke out in Russia, Mauricio really jumped down the fighter's back when he then said, hey, I don't want any Russian fighters with my belt, right? So now he's saying, hey, you know what? We're going to jump in front just to keep Dmitry from getting that belt, from having that belt, which doesn't even make sense, because you want to call Dmitry Bivol a Russian fighter. Well, isn't Artur Beterbiev born in Russia, lived in Russia, moved to Canada, therefore he's Canadian, but he's not Russian anymore? You know what I mean? So why are you giving Dmitry Bivol such a hard time because he's Russian? That's discrimination. Now, if somebody would have did that to him because he was Mexican, people would have been in an uproar. So it's wrong on so many levels. I think, you know, if he didn't want Dmitry Bivol to have the belt, Dmitry Bivol had no business fighting Artur Beterbiev for that belt, because he had the WBA, if you can remember. And then he caught a lot of problems because when he beat Canelo Alvarez, as you guys can remember, they didn't want to pay the man because he was Russian, because everything and everybody was boycotting Russia, right? You know, drinks and liquor and imports and output, you know, all that stuff. So it was bad for a lot of Russian people. And remember, these guys are not soldiers. They're not politicians. You discriminating somebody because of where they're from now? That's crazy, man. That's absolutely unfair. And Mauricio Sulaiman, this is the first time he's ever mandated anybody to do something right away. Oh, I'm mandating Dmitry Bivol to fight David Benavidez now. When did you do that before? Did you do that to Jermell Charlo? Did you do that to Errol Spence? Did you do that to Tyson Fury? Did you do that to Deontay Wilder? Did you make Wilder fight Dillian White for 1,000 days? No. You tried everything in your power to stop the mandate from happening. Now all of a sudden you want a mandate? That just tells you he's biased against Russian fighters for whatever reason. You know, maybe he wanted a Mexican fighter. David Benavidez, right, isn't a Mexican-American fighter, right? Maybe he felt more comfortable having him in that slot versus someone else. And I think it's bad, man. It's bad for all levels. And, you know, him vacating that belt is a good move for Dmitry Bivol, because he's showing him like, hey, man, I can only do, you know, I can only do the right thing. You know, whatever you're doing over there ain't what I'm doing, but I know what I'm doing is the right thing versus what you're doing is not the right thing, you know? And it's bad because Dmitry Bivol fought his ass off 24 rounds against probably one of the most feared men in the business, and that's Artur Beterbiev. You know, so I'm looking at it like this. If he wants to vacate it and give it to David Benavidez to make him a WBC light heavyweight champion of the world, how about this? How about you take on the guy that he scathed through just then, Artur Beterbiev? How about that? You know what I'm saying? Since you want to mandate Bivol and then Bivol vacate so that guy can pick up that belt, why don't you let that guy fight the other guy? Okay, he's the current best a light heavyweight champion, current best, because he wasn't 6 months ago because Artur Beterbiev beat him the first fight. So how about this? Mauricio, how about you put your fighter, your new founded champion, because that's what's going to happen. It's either he's going to fight a vacant fight or they're just going to give it to him because the WBC does whatever they want to do, right? How about this? How about you put David Benavidez in there with Artur Beterbiev? You know what I mean? To save face, since you care about him being challenged so much. But you guys tell me what you think of Dmitry Bivol vacating the WBC light heavyweight championship belt. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been counterpunching. Peace.